For this video, I thought it would be interesting to take a look at what specific jobs are available for FPGA engineers. I've received a number of questions from my viewers, you guys, who are asking me, okay, like I understand FPGAs are useful in certain industries and maybe what those applications might be, but like what is my job like? What am I going to be doing? So one way I thought you could answer that question is by looking at job descriptions. So I'm going to go to LinkedIn. I'm going to click on jobs and I'm going to type in FPGA and just see what comes up, and we'll talk through some of these job descriptions that we find. So I'm on linkedin.com. This is just one place where you can find jobs like this. There's Monster, Indeed, a whole bunch of different places, maybe through your local college, whatever it may be. This is just one place to find jobs. Craigslist, perhaps. But anyway, at the top here, once you log in, there's a section called Jobs, and you can search for jobs. And I have searched for FPGA in the past, and I'll do it again. Search location. I don't care. United States. I'll just search anywhere in the United States where there's FPGA jobs, and we'll just talk through maybe what these might be. All right, here's one. Apple. Apple's hiring an FPGA engineer in Cupertino, so Silicon Valley area. Let's see, Apple. Yes, we're aware Apple is a large company. They make consumer electronics. That makes sense. What are they doing with this job? Apple's incubation team. So incubation team, it's probably something new. They're probably starting off with a small project and trying to research if something's possible, maybe with an FPGA. Skilled FPGA design engineer with strong capabilities in system and hardware level design. Integral role for Apple, requiring experienced self-driven engineer with great initiative. Haven't really talked about what we're going to be doing yet. Let's see. Responsible for selection, development, and integration of FPGAs that implement functionality on prototypes, spanning low-level hardware control and status for embedded systems. Let me make this bigger, actually, before I get too far into this so you guys can read it. I've received some feedback from some of you that you can't read stuff, so let's make it bigger. Here we go. Okay. Low-level hardware control and status for embedded system to high-speed links, high-level IP blocks, custom hardware accelerated algorithms and filters. So nothing super specific in this job description. Low-level hardware control is probably, toggling GPIOs, interfacing to ADCs, DACs, things like that. Status for embedded systems, that's probably talking to an external microcontroller would be my guess, something like that. Or talking to maybe some other CPU. High-speed links, that's maybe anything SerDes, so PCI Express or SATA or USB 3.0 or some high-speed links. High-level IP blocks, that's just a general, you know how to use the IP configurator inside of Xilinx or the Quartus tools. Custom hardware accelerated algorithms and filters. So this is like writing some Apple-specific algorithm, maybe for image processing. That would be my guess. Maybe like an image processing job here for some custom chip that they're going to create to do some camera control. Let's see if there's more specific anything. Okay, so experience with industry standard protocols, PCI Express, USB Ethernet. Yep, that makes sense. Keep in mind, Apple is a commercial company, so they probably are going to use pretty commonly used commercial standards. 3 or more years experience developing embedded systems with microcontrollers, microprocessors, computers, USB, I2C, SPI. These are all pretty like generic. Oh, here you go. Experience with camera-related protocols like MIPI is strongly preferred. Okay, there you go. That's what this job is. Everything else is just fluff, but this is what the actual job is. So they're using MIPI. MIPI is a camera interface. You can look up specifically what it is if you're interested. But for sure, what this job is, it's taking a camera. So Apple develops tons of cameras, and it's taking that camera interface and sucking the camera data into an FPGA using MIPI. That's what this job is. So there you go. And then the rest of it is just fluff again. Board bring up, teammate, you're a good talker, you're not going to swear in meetings, you're thoughtful, focused, methodical. Okay, the rest of this is just okay. Looks like they're not specific to an FPGA. So Altera, Xilinx, and Lattice, they call out 3 options. Hey, the Go board uses Lattice, so there you go. Constraining for FPGA synthesis, sure. Proficiency with lab equipment, including oscilloscopes, logic analyzers. This is all standard stuff. And then C is probably a bonus because maybe you're going to be working on some microcontroller or an embedded processor inside the FPGA as well. What else we got? Preferred qualifications. understanding of low-level synthesis. Yes, that is required. Scripting skills in Perl or Python, that's nice. I don't know many people who use Perl nowadays. Python is a lot more common. Perl was pretty common 10-ish years ago, and it's pretty fast for a lot of like ingesting tons of huge text-based things, but it's really, I'm not a huge Perl fan personally. Nothing against Perl, I just have a hard time understanding what the hell's going on. I prefer Python. Experience with any sensors, any of them at all. Okay. Experience taking designs through a product cycle, yeah. Nothing else here is really too specific to what this job actually is. Collaborating with teams, proposing architectures, buildings, synthesis, place and route. This is all just standard stuff. You'll see this on every single job description that we're going to look at probably, is some variation of these types of things. Here's what you need to get your foot in the door. MSEE, Master of Science in Electrical Engineering with 5 years of relevant experience, or a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering with 7 years of relevant experience. So they're not going to take newbies on this particular job. That doesn't mean that Apple doesn't hire any fresh college kids, but it looks like for this one they want somebody who's got some experience. So, they tell you this is estimated $145,000 a year. That seems a little low actually for Apple, especially in Silicon Valley. I would guess higher. So let's see. There you go. That's Apple. So they want a MIPI interface for a camera. They're working for cameras. What else we got? Argo AI. That's like, what are they doing? Is that self-driving? Yeah, self-driving. Okay, here's another one. This is cool. Princeton, New Jersey. Argo AI is a self-driving startup. Let's see. It's a much smaller company than Apple, so 200 to 500 employees. I think I was reading that Argo went into some partnership with some major car company recently. I don't know who it was. I'd have to look it up. Ford or somebody. So what they're doing is they're building a self-driving car. I think their whole thing is to partner with partner with vehicle companies like Ford or Volvo, whoever, who don't have this experience, and be able to sell their product and put it onto the existing cars. They don't want to make cars. Making cars is hard, but they want to make self-driving technology for cars. So what are they going to do? You will develop state-of-the-art verification solutions for embedded systems. So this is different than the previous job. The previous job was the Apple job was taking MIPI camera, and sucking the data into an FPGA. This one is verification based. So FPGAs are good. Let's see. Verification strategies for image processing. Okay. And DSP FPGA designs. Collaborate with algorithm, hardware, and software teams to define and implement high-performance verification validation frameworks. Yes. Okay. So this is not going to be a design job. You're not going to be actually working with the electrical engineers on a board design. You're not going to be creating the architecture for how this problem is being solved. This is a verification FPGA design engineer. I haven't talked a ton about what verification FPGA designers do in my channel, just because it's like a niche of a niche. Not all companies hire verification engineers, but verification FPGA designer is basically somebody whose sole job it is to just beat up the design as much as possible and just stress it, inject random numbers into it, inject corner cases, inject things that the designer hasn't either had the time for or thought of, and just really beat up on that design. So it takes a really long time to verify FPGA designs, and it's kind of one of those. It's kind of like a curve of verified, like how verified something is versus how much time you spend on it. Like you spend a little bit of time, you get a lot of bang for your buck in the beginning, but there's kind of like this asymptote that you kind of get to, and knowing when you're done is always a tricky thing in verification engineering. Like how verified do you need to be? But in general, you want to beat up on your design and make sure that it's good. This is especially important for spinning an ASIC. So if you have an FPGA and it's great, you like it, it's working, and you want to now build an ASIC, which is an application-specific integrated circuit, that costs a lot of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars, to turn an FPGA into an ASIC. And the reasons why you want to do that is maybe speed, cost, size, physical size gets smaller, things like that. You can run the thing faster, but it costs a lot of money to do that. So you really need to make it up in volume. But you don't want to do that if you have a design that might have a bug in it. So you hire verification engineers to just beat up on your design and make sure that all the bugs are found before you spit an ASIC. Verifying an FPGA takes longer than building an FPGA, by like probably 2 times longer. So just keep that in mind. These guys work hard and don't always get a ton of credit, but it's really important to have good verification teams for complicated designs like this. So what else do you need? Computer engineering, computer science, robotics, blah, blah, blah. QuestaSim in verification. System Verilog for sure. I don't know anybody who uses anything other than System Verilog for doing verification. Python, definitely, probably setting up some environment stuff, kicking off regression tests. And then the rest of this is experience with image processing. Yeah, they're doing image processing stuff. It's all camera-based self-driving. Okay, what else? Oh, here you go. I used to work for BAE Systems in Nashua. How about that? Here's a job for my old company. Entry-level electrical engineer, FPGA firmware, BAE Systems in Nashua. Good place to work. So, entry-level, so let's see. They have a program now called a Year 1 program. I didn't know about that. That must be new. But they rotate you. That's cool. Rotations to discover your passion. That's nice. So you can try different places. BAE Systems is a defense contractor for the United States. They do, well, I don't know what this particular role is, but they do radar stuff. They do anti-missile countermeasures, things like that. Department of Defense work. So this is entry level, so basically a BS, Bachelor of Science, that's what you need. Not too bad. Usually for defense contractors, you need the ability to get a secret clearance, which is, you need to be a U.S. citizen for that one. You need interest in FPGA design, including being able to, you've done some VHDL. Oh yeah, the DoD always favors VHDL over Verilog. I shouldn't say always, but a lot of the time VHDL is preferred over Verilog. I guess they're okay with Verilog too. It looks like Quartus and Xilinx are both fine here. You understand revision control, you understand basic stuff. If you did some good work on nanland.com, you could definitely apply for this job and feel confident that you could crush an interview here. I'm sure you could. Interest in radar systems. So this one sounds like it's radar based. Radar just, does a lot of math operations and filters and high-speed analog to digital converters to get the radar signals back into the FPGA and then process them and do FIR filters and things like that to try to extract signals from some of those radar pulses. High-speed ADC, DAC interfaces, SerDes, PCI Express, yeah, for sure. For radar, that's going to be pretty standard. This one looks for a GPA of 3.0 or higher. Sounds about right. Entry level, so you can get started right away. And that's about it. So this is the DoD side. So VHDL, you're going to work on radar. It's going to be, this is for entry-level people, so they'll kind of hold your hand and get you spun up. This is kind of how I got started in FPGAs, was like a job like this. Here's Analog Devices. Analog Devices makes a lot of semiconductors, and they are looking for Analog Devices Wireless Communication Business Unit is seeking a senior FPGA development engineer to develop and design FPGA-based test and verification platforms utilized to validate and test wireless transceiver products. So they have a product and they want to beat up on it with an FPGA. Probably need to stress really precise timing of this particular chip, and so FPGAs are really good at managing things at the nanosecond level. So that's what this is all about. Small team, focus, blah, blah, blah. This is more senior level, so you need some experience for that. What else? Western Digital. They make hard drives. What is this one doing? SSDs. Are you passionate about solid-state drives? Is anybody passionate about solid-state drives? Like, oh man, all I want to do is work on solid-state drives. That's my jam. Nothing, nothing against you if you are. I just didn't think there was anybody. You're like unique. You're a unicorn. Okay, this one's working with solid-state drives. I didn't know that was a thing, but it is. So what are you going to be doing with solid-state drives? You are responsible for providing technical leadership in all facets of system development from microarchitecture through sustenance. I've never heard a sentence like that before. You will work with architects and system engineers to define requirements and the microarchitecture for complex FPGA systems running SSD controller functionality. Okay, so this is a team lead, and you're probably not going to be doing any FPGA design with this job. But there are people who do FPGA design at Western Digital on solid-state drives. So that's neat. They probably do, yeah, so they definitely do FPGAs probably in like the prototyping phase, and then they'll go spin an ASIC. So that's kind of what this sentence is getting to here. Understanding ASIC, system on a chip, SoC, partitioning the design, creating custom IPs for systems. Yeah, so Western Digital makes hundreds and millions of hard drives. They're not going to be stripping an FPGA with each one. That would be very expensive and not optimized. So they probably do FPGA development during prototype and then spin up an ASIC. That's super common and pretty cool. Here's a good one. Okay. So like the last 10 that I've looked at are all like senior, principal, senior principal. They're all like 5 to 10 years experience minimum. Here's one for 1 year experience, so basically no experience, 1 to 2 years. So they don't want it to be your first job, but they probably are flexible on that. I was looking for one job like this. So this is Quant Lab Group. Quant is finance. Quantum trading, I don't know where it comes from. Quants, people who do like high frequency stock trading. That's what this company is all about, probably. I'm saying that before I read the description. I think that's what this is. And FPGAs are like pretty hot for stuff like that. I've heard that this is a pretty brutal industry to work in, like from a work-life balance perspective, that like they just work you to death. But you'd probably learn a ton. It'd be really cool to experience some of that for a short period of time until you burned out. So this is the trading platform, maybe not. Maybe this company has really great work-life balance. I shouldn't say that. The trading platform created by the Quant Lab Group is among the most sophisticated and scalable platforms in the financial industry. So if you're interested in finance, if you like monies and high-frequency stock trading and stuff like that, and you like FPGA design, check out some of these jobs, because these are actually pretty cool. I personally was drawn to these types of jobs and ultimately didn't want to. A lot of them are in New York City, if you're interested in living in New York City. This one's in Houston. But yeah, this is a cool industry. To support the continued growth of this platform, we are seeking FPGA engineers who will drive continued optimization of our trading systems while coordinating with technical teams throughout the organization, such as development, infrastructure, research, and trading. So you'll learn some finance cool stuff. That's nice. The successful candidates will become key, contributors in the creation, testing, and development of next-generation hardware and software platforms to host our trading infrastructure. So this is all about squeezing out like nanoseconds, beating the other guy by literally nanoseconds. Apparently there's a lot of money to be made in that. So assisting in developing RTL to optimize our low latency real-time trading operation. If you can sell a stock or buy a stock nanoseconds faster than somebody else, then you have an advantage and you can leverage that. And it might just be worth pennies, but you add those up over many stock trades, and it's worth a lot of money. So that's what this is. They use Verilog, or VHDL, I guess. They'll accept it. Experience with Xilinx and or Altera. Those are the two big boys, especially on the fast side. If you're doing anything like high speed, low latency, Xilinx and Altera is where you go. Like Lattice and things are cool, but they're a little bit smaller. They're meant more the middle ground and low end of things. And then Microsemi is definitely not one of the one of the faster guys. This is all about speed, so they don't care about the cost or the size or anything. They're just like, give it to me as fast as possible. Ability to understand synthesis reports, sure. Perform timing analysis and write FPGA constraints. That's all standard stuff. Any job will ask you for stuff like that. Documentation reporting. So yeah, they're not looking for much here. They're basically looking for a little bit of experience. Maybe you probably could get it with entry level with a good interview, a good resume. Passionate, determined, and intellectual curiosity. Sure, okay. Here, bonus points if you have a master's, experience using system Verilog, experience writing tickle scripts, experience in trading and other real-time systems. Yeah, if you show up to a job interview and you're like, check out this algorithm I wrote for some trading something, that's probably cool. Showing interest in a company is definitely bonus points during a job interview. So this would be one that would be nice to bring some, show that you are intellectually curious about finance to this job. If you're not intellectually curious about finance, don't apply for this job. PCI Express, C++, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, this is a whole other thing. This is like high frequency stock trading is like a whole industry for FPGA designers. Wireless communication. There was one from Analog Devices before about doing wireless, beating up on a wireless ASIC. What's this one? JMA Wireless is the leading global innovator of mobile wireless connectivity solutions. I've never heard of them, but they're the leader. They have an opening for an FPGA engineer. This one requires 5 years experience. Everybody wants 5 years experience, but nobody wants to hire intro people. Well, not nobody. There's just less of them. In case you haven't figured this out, once you get your foot in the door, once you have some experience and you've proven yourself as an FPGA engineer and you like it, this is a bit of a test for you too. If you're a newbie, it's pretty easy to be able to roll that experience into the next job offer and show that you understand the environment, you understand the ecosystem, you understand your role as an FPGA engineer, and you can do a good job for somebody that looks for a little bit more experience. They don't want to necessarily spend 6 months training somebody on tickle scripts and Vivado and here's what an FPGA is 101. They expect you to hit the ground running and be able to be productive, and you get compensated more for that, right? Well, maybe this one's a little bit lower. Where is this? Dallas, Fort Worth. It seems a little low for 5 years, but maybe Texas. I don't know. Where you work is very much indicative of how much you're going to get paid too. Like California, salaries are going to be a lot higher. New York City, salaries are going to be a lot higher. Dallas, Fort Worth, maybe not as high. Probably that seems a little low to me, but maybe it's really cheap to live in Dallas, and so they don't pay you as much for that. So I could keep doing this all day. There's 4,758 FPGA job results, which means that there's a lot of jobs out there. They're in Boulder, they're in New Hampshire, they're in anywhere in California, Dallas, Texas. It depends on what do you want to do, what industry do you want to work in. Where do you want to work physically? Do you want to live near your family? Do you want to move and experience Boulder, Colorado at Plexus Corp? I don't know what Plexus Corp is. Product Design and Engineering Engine. What are they? Are they an outsourced company? I don't know what they do. Boulder seems like a cool spot. Go to Boulder, check it out. I mean, you can kind of do what you want to do. And FPGA, it's a niche field to work in. So a lot of people can just specialize and just be really good at that and work in this for your entire career and always have a place to work. These people clearly are looking for senior principal, high level FPGA engineers that they're willing to pay pretty handsomely if you're good at your craft. So I hope this has been helpful, kind of getting you a little bit more familiar with the specific jobs available to you. So one other last thing before we go, if you haven't yet checked out my Patreon, please do. Patreon.com/Nandland, Nandland, and support me there, because it really does help me to keep cranking out these videos and interacting with you guys and hearing your feedback and everything else. So I appreciate your support. Thanks.